I'm working on this John Deere 110 garden tractor. This is part 23 of a multi-part series. In the last video, I cleaned up the rear rims and axle. I thought that was everything except the mower deck and related parts. But when I was looking through the parts, I came across this belt guard. It obviously goes in here, and I forgot about it. I definitely have to take something apart to get it to fit in there. But first I'm going to clean it. I'm getting ready to clean this with gasoline, but I think I'll take this switch off of there. First I splash some gas on everything so it can soak in a little bit. Then I go with the stiffer brush. I'm going to spray this switch with carburetor cleaner and wipe down the outside. And the screws too. This piece is bent a few different ways. First, this corner is bent downward, so I want to try to make that straight there. I'll use a rag under my pliers to help save the paint. That section's pretty straight. Now I want to make that section 90 degrees from the side. So I'll grip it near the end where that lip is. That's pretty square now. I'm going to work on this front section. I want some pliers to fit in that narrow raised area. These big ones fit in there, but the jaws are too wide open in the back. The jaws on these small pliers are more parallel when they're closed. I like those better. I'll use a rag so I don't scratch the paint. That looks good. Now I think this rear section needs to come up some more. A little more towards the front. That looks good. There's a dent there, but I'd have to hammer on it to fix that. I'm going to leave it like it is. I'm ready to put this switch back on. There were no wires connected to this when I got it, and I think it might be broke. Seems like there should be an arm on here to rotate that shaft. I'm going to put it back on there so the next guy can have all the pieces. I had to practice a few times to figure out how to get this in here. It bolts to the lower frame in two places. One in the front here, and the other towards the rear. It also bolts to the engine at the top. That bolt was missing when I got it. The top's pretty flat now. That looks okay. I decided to add some more parts to the mix, because this part here mounts with the same bolt that holds this cover in place. So I have to clean that one. This pulley setup mounts in this big hole, and this stud mounts in the front. I have two wing bolts here. One of them held this guard in place, and the other one was in this hole here. Apparently those hold on another cover that I don't have. It was missing when I got the tractor. Here's a screenshot of one of the videos when this tractor was coming apart. These are all the parts that need to be in place for the mower deck belt drive. I forgot to mention this spring tension release handle in the previous segment. That's what this is here, and I'll clean that too. Now I'll scrape all the chunks off. Now I'll spray everything with WD-40. Here's my pile of parts ready to go back on. But I decided I'm not quite ready. The bolt that goes into the engine here was not in there when I got it. and I can see some dirt and crud in the threads. I'm going to run a tap in the hole to clean it out. The tap handle won't fit in there, so I'm going to use this tap extension. Yeah, there was some rusty crud in there. That'll fix it. I have a bolt here that I want to use. It has a big flat washer because the belt guard has a slot in it. There's a bolt hole here that wasn't being used, and it holds the guard on just like this bolt right next to it. I think there should be a bolt in there. Sometimes you would need to remove the guard that's supposed to be over this pulley, so that bolt should be in there to hold this main guard in place when you need to remove the outer guard. So I'm going to add that bolt in there. This flat section leans downward a bit, and it rides on the generator bolt there. I'm going to tighten up the bolts. That feels pretty good. This stud was in this front hole. This pulley hangs on this stud. I'm going to put grease on the stud. And the hole that it goes into. And on this part, because it rides on that stud. This part is pinned on the front axle. That's what the spring hooks to. Yeah, I guess I should hold on to that when I release it. When there's no belt attached, it'll bump this stop up against the frame. Here's a screen capture from when I was taking this tractor apart. And here's what it looks like now. I need to clean this thing, but I don't want to take it apart. There's some stuff on the back that needs scraped off. Then I'll try to clean the rest with carburetor cleaner and a wipe down. Don't want to spray carburetor cleaner on the decal. And now for the WD-40. I'll put grease on anything that moves here. Try to keep the belt from touching the grease. Now some grease on the washer. Wait, I forgot a washer goes on there first. That's because you don't want the slot riding against the cotter pin. Some grease under the washers. If it's released right now, the engine should be able to turn. And that's engaged. That seems okay. Except that thing's not supposed to be touching the belt. Need to fix that. Everything else looks okay. I'm going to adjust that little belt guide, and the belt needs to be engaged to do that. This picture here gives some dimensions to show where this thing is supposed to be. I'm going to get a tape measure. First, it says this pin should be a 1/2 inch above the crossbar. And that's about 3/4 of an inch. And it should be 1/16 of an inch from the belt. But this one's touching the belt. This lower one's not rubbing on the belt, but it looks like it's more than a 1/16. That looks good now. The belt's tight and nothing's rubbing. I didn't follow the instructions properly. Step 1 says adjust idler B until pin A is in the center of the slot, and readjust when off center by a ½ inch. This looks like a little less than a ½ inch off center, so I'm going to try it. That should be released there. Feels like it might be okay. Nope, that ain't working. So I'll go through the whole adjustment procedure. Now, to allow that bar to go farther to the left, I need to move that pulley to the right in its slot by about 3/8 of an inch. Yep, move the pulley to the right. Well, the bolt's turning. I need to get a wrench on the bolt also. I'm going to rotate this belt guide a little so it's closer to the belt. Looks like I moved it too far. Gotta go back a little bit. Didn't move it enough. Gonna try again. Okay, that looks good this time. And now I have to readjust this upper pin. The lower one is better. A little bit bent. Okay, now that looks good. And it's about a 1/16 of an inch from the belt. Now to readjust this top one. That all looks good. I'll give it a test. That looks okay now. I might have to check it again when I get the mower deck on it. Now I see I should have straightened this piece before I put it back on. I'm going to try to fix it now. I'll hold the lower part with this big adjustable wrench. And I'll bend the top part with this antique monkey wrench. That worked pretty well. There's still a little bend there, but this part is square like it's supposed to be. I don't know what that's on there for. Maybe that's what activated the arm that appears to be missing from this switch. I'm going to give it a test with the engine running. Well, that's as far as I'm going this time, and here's what it looks like. Alright, that's it.